Hey guys, it's me, Carbundance, and before I go into what I ate and what I eat, which I highly encourage you to stay for because they just build upon each other, and I take you through my steps that brought me to full recovery where I am now. I'm keeping it as short as possible. I have a lot to say and it's all relevant if these types of topics, if recovery is your vision, then stay for it. Also, I want to let you know that I have a Patreon. If my content helps you, I do this for free for you all over the year. I do this from morning to night and work a lot of extra hours. And if you ever feel like giving something back to me, then you can check out my Patreon page. Okay, so I just wanted to respond or react in a way to a comment that I got from Christina Asante. And Chris and I, we know each other quite well because we've done some coaching together as well. And I love I know a lot about her past, and I'm just super proud of her because she's come a long way. And she left this comment on one of my recent videos. For me, it is better to recover with veganism than without. I understand that it could be a form of restriction, but I don't see that for me, but it could be for others. I tried both vegan and non-vegan, and non-vegan makes me physically ill. I also tried for more than a week and still hurts, so in my experience, vegan helps me recover more than like omnivore. Okay, I just directly want to respond to that. It's not necessarily directed to Chris, and generally everyone needs to find out themselves what's the right way for them. But I thought it was relevant to all of you guys to let you know that I was in the same place when I had the problems. I think like 3 years ago when it was my first experiment when I tried animal products again. It was when I had all of my desperation with parasites and stuff, and I just was desperate, and I had a lot of problems there when I started the animal products, and I also couldn't last longer than a week. And the only thing I want to say here, everyone has to find their own way, but I highly encourage everyone to stick it out for longer because it naturally takes a much longer time than just 1 week for your microbiome and everything to adjust, especially the longer you have been vegan. I just want everyone to know it's not the end all be all. If you have a problem for 1 week, it just doesn't mean that it doesn't work for you at all, the non-vegan thing. It just takes a long time for your body to produce the enzymes again, like to digest the lactose and stuff. And also it just can be that you're not eating enough, and for me that was the case. Like everything in my body was messed up, my digestion was messed up anyway, even with some vegan foods and like legumes and stuff, like just harder to digest food, which should be still like 100% fine to digest for the body, but when you're under eating, it might be too much for the body to handle. And so I was struggling with gastroparesis anyway, and so eating animal products just completely killed my tummy. And so I just want everyone to know that if you're trying it and you feel, well, it hurts, that it doesn't mean that it's not for you in general. It might mean that it just takes longer adaptation. If I still ate omnivore or paleo, I would still be underweight and depressed. Vegan actually challenged me and my mentality to eat more, whereas before I barely ate. I have to distinguish between like lots of fiber, water, and straight up calories for fullness, which is a bit difficult. Yes, yeah. I would have had to learn that no matter what. Yes, I would eat loads of broccoli while paleo to be not hungry. I never came to veganism for the animals. I came to finally challenge myself to have fruit after no fruit for a year. And yes, that's great. I'm so glad you're on that way. I encourage everyone to still be open to everything, and not think like, well, I tried it once and then, well, that means I can never go back because it just doesn't agree with me. It just takes a longer time in general to adjust. And also, I think it's so great if people like dare to eat fruit again, because they haven't, like, everyone has their fear food. Some people that come from paleo, they might fear fruit, and people that come from the all fruit diet, they might fear to eat fat or oil, God forbid. And so, but still, you know, I just want to warn that, like, I want to warn from going from one extreme to the other. Like, you might have feared fruit, now you can eat the fruit, no problem. But maybe now, if that means you're now afraid of other things, then that is a big problem. We cannot just swap out and exchange the fears. That's just the same eating disorder, just in a different color. And I'm not saying that this is the case for Chris at all. I just wanted to use this comment in order to say that to you guys. Maybe for someone that was helpful. Let's go into what I ate, and I'm also actually going to go into screenshots that I took 1 year ago and that I took 1 week ago, because these screenshots were very important to me at that time, and it shows what really was going on in my mind and where I was in my process. So let me know if you guys enjoy these screenshots as well. And stick around. So, okay, we're not going into the plant milk coffee here, and also the breakfast. I've said a lot about this. It's another vegan cheesecake in a healthified version, which was a challenge, but also like not the biggest challenge I could have gone for, which, yeah, I also was in quasi recovery there. I've said a lot about this in other videos before, so I encourage you to watch all of them if you haven't, because they all build upon each other, and then you know my thoughts behind making this cheesecake. So this is the first screenshot, which again I took 1 year ago. It was I think it's some kind of how much fat should you eat on a vegan diet by Stella the Light. And so under this video, one commenter says, would you say a plant-based calorie is different to a junk food calorie? Is this why you are able to eat quite a lot of food and maintain a slim or lean figure? Also, what would you advise if someone is already quite small / doesn't need to lose any more scale weight but wants to achieve the more toned / lean look like yourself? And someone answered this one, and Stella approved this. Someone says, I'm not Stella, but I'm trained in nutrition. A plant-based calorie is different to a junk food calorie in the sense that the plant-based calorie, assuming it's from natural unprocessed foods, will contain more fiber, vitamins, and minerals than the junk food calorie. And like in general, yes, that is right. But what is, like, what people suggest here, and what this all suggests, also like the going plant-based and never restricting again, and not counting calories anymore, is because people just rely and become dependent on fiber and vitamins and minerals. Like all of this, it makes them feel safe. It's like they become afraid of processed foods that do not have this volume, because they think that the body cannot handle this. But I'm telling you now that the body can very well handle this. It still makes you feel full at the very right time, because we don't only have the volume receptors, we also have the nutrient receptors and the energy receptors. And it is very well capable of making you feel satisfied and full if you're not eating whole food, plant-based, unprocessed, or natural. That was just a big fear. And like in general, yes, there are these differences, but we cannot just say, well, because that doesn't apply to a junk food, it's like, that's bad for us. It's not the case at all. But you can see I took this screenshot because I was still very afraid of exactly this. This was exactly the process that I was in. I just couldn't. I didn't dare to take that step to more process. in order to challenge my fears. And so speaking of, this was my very safe whole food banana ice cream lunch on that day. And so far in the what I ate, I haven't had a different lunch so far, right? It was because I also had a new Vitamix and it was very exciting, but also because it's a super safe food of mine. Another screenshot that I took is from a comment, like I don't know where the comment was. Rather than asking what do I need to change, start asking yourself what would I think, feel and do if I knew that I was already enough, because you are. And 100% I want to, like, maybe for some of you it's important to write this down and put it on the wall, hang it on the wall, because what would I think, feel and do if I knew that I was already enough? Because that just got to my heart, because I always thought, well, I have to change, I have to perfect things, polish things, improve, have to self-help myself in any way, and I felt like I was never there. But what if we assume we are already enough, because you are. I am, you are, and I was so craving this one. But so this question really helped me to find out, what am I supposed to do now if I was already enough? Because I am, and then I act like that. That really helped me in my recovery. This was a screenshot by A Way to Healthy. I was really following her there, and it didn't really help me much. I also tried a program of hers, which it comes from a great heart, but it didn't help me much, because it still kept me in some fears, because it's just all based on very much whole foods, and like it has to be vegan, and if you don't eat vegan, then it will not fulfill it will not get you to the body goals you have. And so yeah, it's just, I was following her because I thought, well, if I eat unrestricted, if I make steps to that, I will have to increase, like I will have to step up in my game of lifting weights. Like that is where I thought, well, I just have to get into lifting again and be, make sure that in order to stay fit and good looking and toned, I have to now start lifting weights, because you need to gain muscle and you don't want to gain fat. Like I was still so afraid of gaining fat and not muscle, and still like was in denial that this was a way for me to control the shape of my body and to control my appearance and all that kind of movement and food and stuff. And I thought, well, if I eat more without restriction, and I still was in quasi recovery, by the way, then I at least have to take control, and compensate in that kind of way, and that is not good. Then she had that, again, I'm not saying nothing against her, I'm just talking about the things she was saying and putting out, and that are just my opinions on that. Have you ever tried fruits dipped into protein powder pudding? And she's an advocate and sponsored one by Viva Life. And she also brought me to trying the Viva Life protein. It's just a little bit, it's just, I have tried it and I don't really find it yummy, like, because you can have so much more yummier dips. It's just a little bit not really flavorful. It's just sweet protein powder on top of sweet fruit. I don't know. And then she's also very much about no more restriction. Sorry, she has a screenshot of her client here. No more restriction with my program anymore. No needed to reach your body goal. Well, what people don't see here is that her program is based on be as whole food as possible. If you eat fats, then from whole foods, and be completely vegan. And I mean, that is great and all, but I personally didn't find it helpful for someone with my eating disorder, and she also has very much a history of eating disorder. And so I will not judge about her. I cannot. Only everyone can do that for themselves, but for me, it kept me in my eating disorder and kept fears alive for me. So many people talk about there's no restriction, but it's most of the time it is still restricted abundance. Then I also really followed this girl Audra, and it was just, you know, she was talking about clients that they have their period back. I didn't have my period at that time, actually. I missed it for some months. And so she had a program, the Balanced Babe program, which I also happened to buy throughout the year later. But it's like, I was just so curious, like, how can all of the clients of them like lose the weight? And she's always saying there's no rules, it doesn't have to be complicated, and you can eat as much as you want. And I was just so curious about that, because that is what so many people want, right? And also I was wondering, like, how does it work? And just to find out later that the program was also very much a lot of rules as well. Which it doesn't seem from the outside most of the time. So that was my dinner at that day, and I challenged pasta. Okay, I'm going to do it not like this. I challenged the pasta, and this is the avocado dip with soy flakes, and it's just pasta was a big step. It's a whole grain pasta there, but what you also don't see is that it was, again, unfortunately, weighed. It was weighed pasta, but I had it. It was a step forward, albeit not the biggest step that I could have taken. And there's pumpkin also, of course, the vegetables. It's super yummy, this one. So this was my challenge on that day. The dip, with soy flakes and avocado and sunflower seeds. Like, I actually chewed the sunflower seeds, and then it was kind of a nut butter, and it was a whole dip. Super yummy. Still very much whole foody. Then there was another screenshot. Someone told this girl Audra that my cheeks were so sore, tears were coming out of my eyes, and I couldn't stop because a joke that made me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. And this is actually something that I experience so much. Now I am laughing like from the bottom of my belly, kind of. It's like I'm just so loose and relaxed. And that also happened to me too. And she's posting from someone who got back their sex drive after months, and that is great and all. And her people experience that on her program, but the thing is that you can experience these things and still not be 100% restriction free in your mind. It can still keep your eating disorder alive. I'm just talking for myself here. Don't say that is the case for everyone. So this, I hope, so let me know if these screenshots help you, if you want more of those, or if they're too boring. Like, seriously, just be honest. Don't feel bad if you say they're boring. Okay, this was from 1 week ago. We have persimmon here, a pancake. I had this from the days before, some days before. There's peanut butter and avocado, very beautiful. And there's some bread and, oh, beauty, isn't it? Yeah. I put some, what's that? Oh yeah, peanut butter on the, it's actually, sorry. Okay. And some cucumber, there's mixed berries on there and peanut butter on there. Avocado, yeah, it was going on the bread. It's a huge plate here, as you can see. Super yummy. Peanut butter on the pancake. Yummy. Going through it. Some more, like some tahini, some arugula on there, but with avocado only, it's the best, I think. Then I had some cacao and peanut butter and tahini as well on top of that. So that was a screenshot that I took a week ago. It's from Melon Belly 603, and I think like she's kind of, I don't mean this in a mean way, but she's very much like a Freely a few years ago, what she's putting out there. Name a plant-based doctor that promotes eating over 15% fat. That was something that she was asking her followers. And someone said Dr. Furman, and then she reacts to the comment. And it's, I forgot about Furman. I like this guy, but let's not forget he was the last one of the plant-based doctors to give up salmon. So he's been wrong before. Yeah, all of that stuff, like that you have been a plant-based poser, or that you are a plant-based poser. He's one of the only plant-based doctors that promotes low-calorie diets, and I believe he's one of the few doctors that still sells vitamin supplements. Yes, I think so too, but now, if you want to eat 25 to 30% fat, you have to keep your calorie intake low. Not true. You can eat in abundance no matter what kind of macro intake you eat, and that is the problem with all the people following the super high carb thing and Freely and Durian Rider and stuff, and like carbs, 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 and become really panically obsessed with fat. Like, and it's horrible. Like, this feeds eating disorder so much. It's great, the abundance of calories and stuff, but how on earth are we going to really recover from an eating disorder if we get the new fear of fat intake? And like, she is convinced that if you want to eat 25 to 30% fat, you have to keep your calorie intake low. It's not true. We can eat abundantly on everything, and that is the problem with the movement. I don't know about you, but low calorie, high fat diets make me bitchy and binge prone. Well, of course, no one should eat low calorie. And it also doesn't mean if you eat more fat or as much fat as you intuitively crave, that is automatically too much fat. It's just like, I think there's so much, we just adapt something that someone just spoke into the space of the internet, and then we say, yes, this is too much fat, and we just adapt it. We just, you know, I don't want to call it brainwashing, but sometimes it can become that, and it's, we don't know if it's true, but we just adapt it as a truth. We just accept it as a truth because it sounds good to us, and sometimes we have to admit that it doesn't sound good to us per se, but to the eating disorder in our brain. And that is the problem. So many people are actually attracted by that. Let me know if you enjoy these screenshot inputs. This is actually something special. It's potatoes, and with a paprika, like the pepper cashew sauce that we made, and with cacao powder and tahini and peanut butter. It's super yummy. You have to try it. It's really like a potato Snickers. And I know, like, even with the cashew sauce and the pepper, it's like, it just fits perfectly. And salt, of course. Later I had some quark, some dairy quark. I never had that before, and it really tastes very much like cheesecake, like the top of the cheesecake, and it was really yummy. I just love everything quark, and I loved that before I had an eating disorder as a child. I was craving bananas here. And I actually made the Freely videos here, like my opinion about, my thoughts on Freely and Durian Rider. You can watch them if you haven't watched them yet, because that's very important. And I was eating bananas then. It was so funny because I was really craving bananas then, and it's really not like I have changed 180 degrees. It's still very much some of my favorite foods. This is a screenshot from Freely the Banana Girl's story on Instagram. She says, yep, remember when Bonnie lied to us claiming she had to stop being vegan for her health? Now she eats McShits. Lies, lies, lies. I'm sorry, but that doesn't mean that Bonnie Rebecca lied. It just really doesn't mean that. She was I'm very, very convinced she was not lying, just as I never lied when I was 100% vegan for the animals. And yeah, that is just I can't. It's time for a response also to Freely's video on that. Had another banana. The second one, as you can see here. This was a toast I had. This is butter and Nutella and water. And this is how it looked. Enjoyed that one. And then this was the second time. It was 2 more, so in total it was 3. So 2 and 3, and it looked the same after. Don't skimp on the butter. And don't be offended. And watch my how to justify eating animal products video if you are scared of butter. And if you feel bad for the animals, because I struggle as well, just as much. And this is not unhealthy per se. We are going to go on to the saturated and cholesterol stuff in other videos, but just because this is more calories and more fat and a little bit less micronutrients does not mean that it is unhealthy for you per se. It will balance out over the life anyway. You are still craving more wholesome stuff, but if you're going through the extreme hunger phase, then you have to let the balance be restored by itself. The pendulum has to swing to the other side in order to really find the balance for itself without you micromanaging it. I hope this helps you. Yummy. Don't skimp on the Nutella as well. This was dinner. I mean, yes, I just had the rest of the crisp that we had the night before and some vegetables. I was just completely craving it, and I didn't want to make fries in the oven. This was the kind of crisp. It's chakalaka. This is the ingredients, and it does make you feel full just as well. And it is not fattening, and it just, you know, you can trust your body with dealing with this, and you don't have to eat low calorie in order to do this. It's just like so much bullshit. Someone wrote under Freely's video on Bonnie Rebecca, I don't understand how people can go back to animal products. I just can't imagine ever going back. Now that I've seen the light, living a vegan life, it's just not an option ever again. This could have been a comment from me at the time when I was vegan, because I just the ethics, my love for animal was and still is so high. I just can't put it into words even. And the problem was that is what kept me in my eating disorder for so long, because I put the animals over my own well-being for too long, and the suffering of the animals was worse for me than my own suffering, and I did die inside at that time. Now that I've seen the light, living a vegan life, it's just an option. It's like a religion, it sounds, and I can emphasize so much with this because I used to say and think this and feel this in all cells of my body, and I also couldn't understand how people can go back to animal products. But you can have been vegan, and there can be very, very valid reasons why you have to do this. And that doesn't mean that you have never been vegan, and it doesn't mean that you have been a plant-based poser. And some people in their process of veganism, they are very, very closed-minded to the fact, they don't even want to understand sometimes, I think, how people can go back to animals, eating animals, because it makes you feel like such a good person when you are one of the very few ones who just really keeps on doing this and don't go away from veganism. It's just like a little bit like a competition, isn't it? This is a Kate Noel Instagram, and look at it yourself. It's for you now. Calorie counting doesn't work. Your metabolism slows, which leads to compensatory methods from your body as a survival response. Yes, no matter what you eat. This is valid for no matter what you eat. Like digestion slows, cortisol increases, holding on to weight, inability to build muscle, decreased immune function can lead to binges and yo-yo dieting. We lose sense of hunger and fullness cues and can lead to overeating. Yes, this was another Instagram. Wow, this is pretty crazy, right? This is actually the chilblains or Raynaud's syndrome that someone had. It's from the, you can see the account here, and she wanted to show how it started with her fitness journey. And one of the how it started pictures was this chilblains and Raynaud's thing. Like, this is a circulation disorder due to undereating, and so many people don't know that it's because you don't eat enough. And pretty much how what happened to me. And then you know these things where they say, and now how it's going now, and like everything is great now, and you're eating so many calories. And the thing is, then most, like 99% of these include that they are now making so many gains and gaining so much muscle. And it's very much about this, well, if I gain weight, then it has to be muscle. And then below, lo and behold, below this reel, she writes exactly how many grams of carbs and protein and like how many grams of chocolate she has, how many grams of avocado and or like protein, and exactly how many calories. And it's like, this is still prison. I'm sorry, but this is still prison. I want everyone to see that. It's not coming out of an eating disorder and being free when you're still tracking all of the macros and still tracking the calories. Yes, I know you say it's in order to eat enough, but if you're honest to yourself, it's also because you're still afraid of eating too much. And it's great that you can eat more calories, but it just, wow. You can only do that because you have still the desire to control everything and your physique and stuff. It's just not recovery. This is from Anorexia Fitness, which also some of you know. She made 180 degree, like she was very popular in like losing weight and stuff, and then she now recovered from that as well. Also a Gymshark athlete, also very much into gaining muscle, gaining weight. Yes, all of these people say they do it for their mindset and not to change their physique, but still, I think we always have to keep in mind that it can still feed an eating disorder, just putting it out there. And you can see, so I actually took, it's the wrong order here. I actually took this screenshot 1 year ago, not 1 week ago, because you can see here, like, I took this actually, well, you cannot see it, but what you can see here, this is what I want to say, is that I was taking the screenshot because I was very much attracted to buy the chicken, and I was like, well, I don't know, I could never do this. I will always be vegan. I was still in that mindset, like I wasn't open and not willing to let that go for my own health, for my mental health. Always was mental for me, not physical. And so, but I was like, wow, this, like, you know, always attracted me, and was like, oh, I don't know, do I have to do this too in order to recover from my eating disorder? When I saw other people eating this, I always asked this myself, and I at least allowed myself to question myself if I have to become more open to this. And maybe that is for you today as well. I don't know, is this too long? Let me know if you want the screenshots in there. And please check out my Patreon page. Please just ask yourself if you ever want to give back to me, and ask your questions below. I will get to them and answer them in a video. And give this a like or a dislike. Give me something, and I will see you next video. Bye.